Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about masks and this current ongoing health scare. MSNBC recently got caught lying about masks and we're going to talk about it today. We're going to show a video and go over some of the details, but first, let's talk about the whole mask situation fully because this story has been going on and on ever since this whole pandemic started. But a lot has changed in regards to masks, and I think it's worth noting before we get into this new story. You see, first, masks were kind of frowned upon. People said masks didn't work. The media was lying about them, saying, oh, don't even worry about it. Don't bother with a mask. No one should wear a mask. It only should be on if you're sick. Masks only work for this or that. It was all against it in the beginning, and that was kind of the first angle of the left-wing spin. And then eventually people started to come around, and nowadays you can't not wear a mask. Now it's become totally required and a total 180 from what we just talked about. Before it was no mask. Now everyone has to wear a mask. And granted, I understand there's somewhere in between here where there's something right and wrong about both sides. I think I'm in somewhere in the middle where why not wear a mask in certain situations? I think it could help, but a lot of other people argue that it really doesn't do anything. I don't know if I agree with that far of an extreme. I think it's worth at least trying to wear a mask. It's kind of like, say locking your door in case someone comes to rob you. I mean, why not at least lock it? Give yourself that precaution, give yourself a chance. And I think that kind of goes with the mask. But at the same time, wearing a mask is also a choice. We have freedom in this country, so no one should actually be forced to wear them. We have an option, especially when you're in public, especially when you're at home. Now, certain places and restrictions can be put. If you're going into a store or some kind of event or something, they could say, oh, masks only. That's still the store's right too. But the point today is the fact that the mainstream media pulled a big 180 on masks, and now they're all about them, and they're using them as an attack mechanism. They're using them to go after people, specifically the president and conservatives and states that don't fall in line with left-wing ideology. Today, we're going to have a video from MSNBC in Wisconsin, but before we get to that, let's talk about them going after the president's mask and stuff, because that was a story we covered last week, and this week it came up again because recently, Joe Biden came out of hiding. He's been hiding in a bunker for a couple months, trying to avoid everyone and not catch this virus. And that's good for him because he's actually super, super old and weak and susceptible to catching it. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But anyway, Biden came out wearing a mask himself over Memorial Day weekend, and the press went crazy about it. They tried to call him a hero. They tried to act like he was the bravest man in the world. And in addition, on the flip side, they tried to shame Trump for not wearing a mask. And Trump was also in a very different situation. He had worn a mask in another place in another time, and they tried to act like he never wore one. This was going back to him visiting the Ford plant and them kind of attacking him for not wearing a mask the whole time. It was this whole thing, and basically the mask thing has become political. That's what we're talking about. That's the point of the story. And that leads us into today's video. So if you could check out this tweet, this is from Clay Travis. It says, MSNBC reporter attempts to shame Wisconsin residents for not wearing masks. Wait until the end. Absolutely phenomenal. So this video has 3.1 million views, a very, very excited base checking this out, and we'll see why in a second. But first of all, let's talk about the players, because first we're in Wisconsin and we're having MSNBC. So Wisconsin is a state that's been fighting to open up, and they finally have, and now we have the biased left-wingers at MSNBC trying to shame them for it. They don't want states to open up anymore. They're trying to be pro-lockdown, as all the liberals are. All the Democratic states are still locked down, while all the Republican ones are opening up. And it goes to show how everything's gotten so political and so kind of volatile, very, very combative. And it's going to show in this video too, because this guy is obviously wearing a big kind of overly dramatic mask, and he's going to try and shame people in this town for not wearing them. And this is just classic liberals kind of going over to these flyover states, as they call them. They look down upon the regular people, the regular Americans. They're very coastal people. The liberals are all in the coastal cities, LA, New York, some are in Chicago too, in the Midwest as well. But overall, they've looked down on middle Americans, and this is a prime example of that. It's going to show how the this MSNBC guy is kind of trying to shame them, and it's going to backfire on them at the end, as you'll soon see. Let's go ahead and start checking it out.
So the people there are just not worried about it, Cal? Are they not worried about their own personal safety?
I haven't met anybody who is. I met some folks actually from Lake Geneva who lived in the area. They were staying a few miles outside of town where I were, and they said they're worried about it. They're worried about that second spike. They're worried about folks coming in from Chicago. But they'll quickly add at the same time, this is a place that relies on that business. I think people here want a little bit more funding when it comes to these programs so that they...
Okay, the guy, you could see the tone already, like the first reporter, Katie Tur, she's an awful liberal too. Easy on the eyes, but terrible mindset. And she's like, oh, they just don't care about their personal well-being. Like, she's just kind of judging them. Like, oh, whoa, they don't care about their lives. Like, they're just endangering themselves. There's an obvious angle here. MSNBC always has an angle. They're always biased. And in this case, it's just the guy in the park. I mean, people can walk around their town without a mask on. As long as you're not near a lot of people, as long as you avoid someone talking or coughing too much, you're fine. Like, you can walk around the park. You can walk down the street. Like, this is fear-mongering. This is the MSNBC people trying to act like everything's so life or death, when really this virus only has the smallest percentage of actually killing people. Like, if you're under 25 especially, it's like 0.00008%. It's really, really low. Like 1 in 1.25 million actually die if you're in the average age group. Granted, if you have pre-existing conditions or you're elderly, you have other stuff going on, it's more dangerous, but it's really not this crazy thing that MSNBC wants to push. They want to push the fact that, oh, these people in Wisconsin are endangering everyone. Oh, they're terrible. Oh my God, we're scared. We're scared. And I mean, first of all, Katie Tur doesn't have a mask on. Granted, she's in a studio or something. She's probably properly isolated. But yeah, then this guy has the mask on and he's talking about their business and just showing that they have disdain for average Americans. They hate this Lake Geneva, Wisconsin people, and they're trying to kind of shame them. It's just really, really terrible reporting and an awful kind of scare tactic. And if you look at the rest of the screen here, you could see it going on. You know, we've got pandemic, talking about the virus, death totals on the screen, like really, really big titles everywhere. Like, just, it's all about fear-mongering, scaring the people into submission. They want all their viewers to think we have to close down, we have to lock down. And this goes further. So we're not just talking about masks, we're not just talking about lockdowns. The political move is the liberals want to shut everything down until the election. They want the country to go downhill. They want us to crash the economy, no more tourism, no more shopping. They're afraid of things getting better too soon, because in addition, what could happen is this could actually backfire on the Dems, because they've kind of hyped up and fear-mongered here a lot, and it's brought down the country already. We've already been locked down and crashed the economy more than we should have. And what's going to happen to them, unfortunately, and this is why they're trying to stop the reopening, is because now we're going to reopen, and we have plenty of time before November to bounce back. We're going to bounce back by November, and Trump's going to look like he killed it and nailed this whole response, and he's going to win re-election despite these Democrats trying to pull this left-wing kind of screwball, kind of curveball move. That's what they're trying to pull here, and I think we see right through it as we can all kind of break it down right now.
They could stay closed, but again, I think people felt like the Supreme Court made the decision here in Wisconsin that it was time to open up. But you can see here, just around, nobody's wearing them. Nobody's. The cameraman. There you go, including the cameraman. Yeah, Katie.
Exactly. Striking images, Cal Perry. Cal, thank you very much. And Kathy Park, you are...
Katie didn't really hear all that, and the guy got really, really razzed. Did you see the look? Like, when he went down like this, he's like, oh, he got me. He got me. Oh my God, this guy is a hero. This guy that called him out, what's this other guy? This guy in the football jersey is filming him and calling him out. He said, your cameraman's not wearing a mask, and that's when the reporter on the scene says, oh yeah, you kind of got me there. And then the guy also says at the end, half your crew's not wearing a mask. So this guy is totally exposing their fake news. This guy's a hero. We should all send him a plaque, whatever it takes. I don't know. This guy is awesome, by the way. I wonder where we could find his video footage, if he posted that online or something, because it looks like he's recording right here. And yeah, he really razzed these reporters. So this guy, this is the point where he realized, oh my God, they just called out my cameraman for not wearing a mask. And then half his crew's not wearing a mask. There's probably like 5 or 6 of them there filming this. Who knows? And this is the big exposed moment. This is why this video has 3.1 million views. It's because MSNBC got caught lying. They're lying. They're acting like these masks are so important. Like, oh, you're going to die. Everyone needs to wear them. People in this city are risking their lives. No, if that was true, you would make your crew wear them. Everyone in the MSNBC staff would be wearing them. Even Katie Tur in her studio. I know that sounds weird, but these people act like these masks are so important, and we've exposed them for not caring many, many times. We went over this in the last mask video. I was talking about how this relates to the president and Biden, the candidate, and it goes right back to them because the reporters who called out Trump for not wearing a mask, they were taking off and not wearing masks themselves. They would take them off in press conferences for different situations. One person took off their mask to kind of race bait and show their race to kind of make the president look racist. It didn't work. It backfired. And every time they do that, it just goes to show how not serious people really are about masks. These reporters wear them on camera and they try to pretend, oh, it's this big deal. But really, they're just kind of fear-mongering and trying to look cool and, you know, get this mask thing going. They're trying to push their propaganda. And it happened with another reporter at the White House press room too. And they were actually working for CNN, and she was crying about masks always being mask police, and ended up taking it off right away at the end of a press conference, despite still being in a closed room, still being around lots of people. They don't care about the masks when they're not on camera. That's the point. And that's what's pointed out right here. The guy called him out. This guy's only wearing a mask because he's on camera. He's trying to make this whole mask story happen. And then the other guy calls out his crew saying, hey, why isn't your guy wearing a mask? Why isn't your guy's crew? There's a camera guy, there's this. No one's wearing a mask here. If it was so important, why is only the camera guy wearing them? And it's because it's not that important. The camera guy's wearing them for show. He's just doing that to try and prove MSNBC's point. Katie Tur here is just trying to play past it. She probably doesn't even know what's going on. She's only here because she kind of looks good on camera. That's the story. That about wraps things up. I think you guys get the point. MSNBC is fake news. They lied about the mask thing. They got caught trying to slander these Wisconsin people who are just trying to get back to normal, just living their lives, never did anything wrong. You know, it's just terrible. It shows how biased the media is and how volatile and like combative this whole situation around the health crisis has become. It's turned into a political thing, obviously, and I think anyone denying that is probably just working along with MSNBC, trying to make sure that their politics and their candidate win in this election. That about wraps things up. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. Make sure you leave your comments on everything below, and then also hit the like button to help support this channel. And until next time, you guys have a great day.